Ladies and gentlemen, you join us now on. Look at that. That's the wrong way round, isn't it? Shit. Get up. This is before, whenever people step onto the airplane and off they go to a faraway place in the sun. This is Leon. Listen, I can't stress enough, everyone, right? Everyone that's watching this, we'll give you enough time to go and have a little chat with whoever. Go and get yourself a paper and a pen. You're an ultra runner, get yourself a paper and a pen, because me and Leon is going to show you, oh yes, today, what's in the box. And not like the film Seven, where it's his wife's head. This is things that you can use whenever you're out and about on the trail and ultra marathon. This is the for chisel. Leon Clarence is with us today. Leon, how many times have you done the Marathon des Sables?
3 times.
Yes. How many ultra marathons have you done?
I don't know. 5, 8, 9, 9, 9, 9, not ultra marathons. Oh fuck. I don't know. 12. I don't know.
Brilliant.
Do you count each day? Yeah, I've done 9 multi-day ultras, and then I've done other ultras on their own, like one-day ultras. Yeah.
So you listen. If you're wondering why I'm purple, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering why, here you're looking a bit purple and grainy before we go on. This piece of shit, whose legs just fallen off. Me and Leon have, like whenever you get sort of like football presenters talking between matches, that's what we've been like. Okay, so you're probably thinking, hey, Hugh, we want better. We want quality, the same quality that Leon's given us. Well, I can't at the moment. Okay, I don't even know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at you up there. There we are. So there we go. So if you're just wondering, so it's always overcoming objections before they become objections. Anyway, Leon, Marathon des Sables. You're heading off to the airport when?
Tomorrow night, off to Gatwick, to stay in a hotel momentarily before getting up at 4:30 to check in at 5 tomorrow to get on the plane, which leaves at 7:10 on Friday.
I'm very, very excited for you. We're going to go through kit because I am a kit geek. What you're going to get from this program, listeners and viewer, because we're new to YouTube, we might just have one viewer, and it might be my dad because I'm sending it to him. But this might be used countrywide in the future for multi-level marketing events. Right. Can we go from bottom to top? First of all, before we go about talking about your foot management and stuff, now this is for the Marathon des Sables, which is a very hot multi-day stage event that you're taking part on. Foot management, what's your foot management plan and what little bits of gold nuggets do you have?
Hang on 1 second. There's somebody at the door.
Yes, bring them in.
A sec.
Leon's gone out temporarily, ladies and gentlemen, but that gives me the opportunity to say the word temporarily to you. Get your pen and paper. Get your pen and paper. Get your pen and paper. This is how Terry Wogan started. If you look back on how Terry Wogan was whenever he was first thrown in to hosting, it was all live. There was no sort of. So this is what we're doing. We are replicating a live show. Leon's gone to the door. Wouldn't that be cool? And Graham Norton, I was just saying, brilliant. I was just saying, if Graham Norton had to go and answer the door, I think that would be brilliant. I was just talking to the guys. Everything okay?
All good. Amazon.
What do you want to share what it was, or it's got no relevance?
I don't know. Wasn't for me. For me. So yeah.
Got it. Anyway,
feet. You said feet management.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I wear Injinji toe socks.
Yeah.
And I wear ultras. Ultras have 2 quite sort of specific features. One is they have zero drop typically, although there is a little bit sort of squeeze, sort of sneaking into their shoe design, which means that it's flat. So trainers have like a rocker. Haven't got any, so I can't show you what they used to look like. But Ultras are flat. The other thing they have is a very, very wide toe box. So speaking of stuff, oh yeah, so here we go. These are the Ultras I'm wearing. No, I'm not possibly wearing. I've got another pair somewhere, but I can't find them. So whilst I find the other pair, here's another pair.
And
You see what I
then
mean? And I guess you see, I mean, they're starting to look like Hokers now, which is a bit disappointing. But this is the Olympus, Ultra Olympus. And the other thing it has is a very wide toe box, which means that your toes get plenty of room to spread out. And I have literally never had a blister doing the MDS, like a full-on blister. I've had a few heat spots. I've never had a blister in 3 MDSs wearing Ultras. And you'll see they've got that black line around it is the Velcro that's been stitched on. And I have gaiters, old-fashioned gaiters, because I'm old-fashioned. No, just because I've got loads of spare kit from ages ago. And the gaiters cover your shoe like that.
right, and
The other
then
good thing with the other good thing about the gaiter is you can leave it on at night and it stops nasty things crawling into your shoe. So you don't have to check in the morning.
write that down. Top tip, everyone. Can we go back to zero drop?
Yeah.
Although I'm an experienced ultra runner now retired, I don't really understand what that actually means. Leon, what does that actually mean being a zero drop?
So if you look at the bottom, put it up there, look,
Yeah,
there's no sort of distinction between the heel and the rest. Trainers typically have a slightly raised heel, so your shoe is like that.
yeah,
And what that does is it effectively leads you to plant more on your heel. With zero drop trainers, you effectively have the opportunity to land slightly more on the front of your foot, which leads to a slightly sort of springy action. If you think about a horse, horses run on their tiptoes for all intents and purposes in terms of the number of joints. And the running action that you're encouraged to adopt for long distance running is more springy, using the natural elasticity in your joints to move you forwards. And so that's why the zero drop. It's the same concept as the barefoot Ted guy. So the Vibram 5 Soles guy, and obviously the famous lunar sandals that the what do you call them use down in New Mexico. Very, very flat.
yeah.
Because they were obviously historically made from rubber tires.
And then the large toe box. Is that because people have large feet, or it just gives you more movement for your toes to move? What's the benefit of that for people?
Yeah, so broadly, your feet typically in shoes, if you think about your fashion shoes, they kind of taper. There's a fashion shoe, and you see it tapers.
Yeah.
So what happens when you're moving is your foot bashes down, and obviously any bits bumping up against this are going to do it. In true keeping, this is a live studio audience. There's another man at the door. Might be a second.
Okay, no problem. I'll just go and I'll go and chat. Brilliant. You know, whenever I can't say this enough. You know, whenever you're told something, hey, that's a such and such or that's such a. If you don't know the answer, always ask. You know, so somebody says, "Oh yeah, it's a." I sort of knew, but I didn't know. You with me? About the zero drop. We'll also ask him about the. Oh, I can say that whilst he's at the door. Actually, the Ingenies, the pen protection. The Ingenies are socks that I was just saying quickly, the Ingenies are the socks that cover each toe individually, don't they?
Yep.
And this prevents rubbing nails against skin, and also prevents. Do you use anything on your feet? Do you put tape or anything, or talc or gurney goo, or?
I don't use anything sort of prep wise or preventative, but I use when I get in at night, because it is normally at night by the time I get in, I put a bit of gurney goo on, so I take every socks off, let my feet dry out, and put gurney goo on, which is basically Vaseline with tea tree oil in, and that just helps moisturize them. If I get hot spots, I might then tape it, or if in the rare occasion where you see a blister coming, I would obviously pop that and let it dry out before doing it. Coming back to drop, here's it's quite nice. I've got a background. So if you see, so most shoes you see have a distinct heel block and then the forefoot.
Yeah.
So zero drop shoes don't have that heel block. They're just flat. That's what a heel block does. Obviously, I wouldn't run in those
No.
unless I was running for a bus, maybe. I don't know.
And then
Did you want to see some socks?
Yes, mate.
Yeah. Right. So this is my sort of drop bag with all my clothes in. Basically, so I didn't lose any of it. Here's a pair of Injinji socks. Bit of sound come out of them. From last time I wore them, and you can see they have individual toes. So you put them on. It's like gloves for your toes, basically, and each toe has its own little thing. Contrast. And I wear low-rise ones. It's little ankle socks, just because it's dead hot. So don't really want much by way of sock in the desert, just enough to stop your foot rubbing against your trainer, basically.
And then that's it. You don't have another sock on it. You just have that. And then do you have calf guards, Leon, to protect any extra sand going in, or what's your
So I have, where are they? I have a pair somewhere. Just all out. It's not like you're not going to see all of it. Where are they? Somewhere in here. Oh, glad you asked. I don't seem to have them. Yeah, I wear calf guards.
Yeah.
People sort of say they're for compression. I basically just use them because it stops having to put suntan lotion on the tops of my legs. So I'm quite fair skinned. So it's a way of protecting me from.
Write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Write that down. 2 top tips so far. I'm just going to segue from it. 2 top tips. If you go in to the sandy places of the world, always make sure that you keep your gaiters on your shoe after you've taken your feet out, because it stops rats and snakes going into them. And then the second bit is, if you are wearing calf guards, it saves having to put suntan lotion on all your legs, which could sweat down into your feet and cause a blister.
Sweaty mess.
Yeah, I like it. And then, so moving up, do you wear pants, or have you got like an all-in-one kind of sort of X-Bionic kit, or what's your pants?
I've got X-Bionic pants.
Oh yes. We're not sponsored by X-Bionic. However, I wore their shorts and their t-shirt when I did the MDS, and their kit is brilliant. However, it does cost the same amount to buy a t-shirt from them as a cul-de-sac in Wigan.
Yeah, so I wear the pants and then
incredible
X-Bionic. I think they're called marathon cycling shorts.
Can you show
the
Can you show the material a little bit closer? You know, they're not your normal kind of. There we are. Look at that. This whole the handy thing with the X-Bionic is they hold this, because it's so hot, your sweat just disappears into thin air. This keeps it like a kind of turns you into a bit of a fridge, doesn't it? It keeps the sweat next to the body, which helps cool you.
It wicks it away, and then it evaporates, and that evaporation creates the cooling effect.
I think it's brilliant.
And then, mainly for modesty, I just wear a pair of running shorts I picked up in Leadville. The handy thing about the shorts is they do have a zippered pocket, which is sort of great for putting a few shot blocks or caffeine bullets in just while you're running along, so you don't have to constantly reach around into your pack. So yeah, so that's the bottom. And then against all conventional advice, on the top, I'm wearing for the very first time a similar kind of principle top by a relatively niche company called Through Dark. Through Dark are run by a group of ex-SAS and Royal Marines types, so they're all dead hard. And they've developed their own wicking fabric. You can see it's very similar to Thingy. That's their logo. They do very good jumpers for going to the pub, which is why I like them mainly. But I thought I'd give that a go, mainly because it's a bit looser. So it's a bit looser than the X-Bionic stuff. And I thought I would, trial that out this year in the desert.
And then on your arms, do you have any arm guards?
No, I take a couple of buffs. One I'll have around my neck, one I'll have on a wrist. I don't take any guards, but I do have, in case it gets cold at night or during the long stage, I do have a long sleeve top. Again, not particularly fancy. This is an old Helly Hansen top, which basically I fell in love with Helly Hansens when I was working as a canoeing instructor in the south of France when I was 18. What's that, 31 years ago? And have lived by them ever since. So that's my top for night time. And frankly, if it gets colder than that, I'm just going to jump into my sleeping bag.
And then before we go to the pack and the bags and the gadgets, what watch are you wearing?
Right. So I am wearing the Coros, whatever it is, the Vertix 2.
Yeah.
Coros Vertix 2. I've also got a carabiner, just in case I get bored, and I can clip the face of the watch onto that and have it on my pack if I don't want to wear it.
Is that solar powered?
No, possibly. I don't know. I don't really know how it works. It's got a mental battery life. No, it's not solar powered. I think the Garmin one is, but this battery I won't need to take a charger, and it will work all week and won't cause any problems.
So you don't need...
recommended to me by Ian Corliss. Yeah, I don't need a charging pack. Traditionally, I would have had to take a block like that bad boy.
What's that one for people's recommendations? What ones do you use?
That is a new one I just got, actually. That's an Anker, Anker power block.
Yeah.
And basically, the only reason I got it is I'm at the point where my iPhone, they kind of end up, the charging thingamy goes. I've done the whole remove all the pocket fluff, and it's still not charging very well through a cable. So this is a MagSafe charging block. So basically, for when I'm back in the hotel, I've got a source of power that I can charge up and always have battery. But I'm not taking my phone on the race. I've taken all the photos I need, and you can buy photos obviously from the race itself.
Yeah.
And I just like to be completely disconnected from the world for a week, which is part of the appeal really for me. So.
That's going to be, because I was going to say you're taking any cameras and so on, but as you say, you've done it, and also the quality of the photos from Ian Corliss when you're out there, just it's just worth, paying that to get some from him afterwards. I think I can't stress enough, if you haven't heard of Ian Corliss, not only for his photography but also for his knowledge in the world of trail and ultra running. Go on, where are you going now?
Keep talking.
Yeah, well,
no, keep talking.
Keep talking. So yeah, Ian Corliss, ladies and gentlemen, not only for his knowledge with photography, he's got you probably already know, don't you? But he's got a website and a podcast, and he also does training days over in Lanzarote for the Marathon des Sables. Even if you just want to go for a training weekend abroad for another race, can't recommend Ian more than enough. And he's good. Oh, look at that.
Ian Corliss even managed to make me look like an action hero. That was on the Everest trail race. And that's the kind of photos that you get from from Ian, so highly recommend him.
Brilliant
So
quality.
much so that we actually had Ian came and did the stills photography on one of my films, and they are just spectacular, spectacular photos. So yeah, check out his work. He's just absolutely brilliant.
He's got a book. He's got a coffee table book as well, isn't he?
He does, yeah.
That's just shows. That's lovely, lovely. It's just magnificent. If we talk about your kit bag, because you're saying that you've changed sizes with your running bag this year.
Yeah. So basically since 2017, I've been using a 30-litre ultimate direction bag with the roll top. I used a Raid light for the first year and had a front pack, which was fine. But then I ended up using a 30-litre pack, which meant I could do away with the front pack, which enabled me to move a little bit more quickly because it's quite cumbersome having stuff on the front and the back. And for a few years when I was kind of doing these sort of pretty much back to back, I was running a lot more than I do now. So it was quite nice to just have a leaner pack. Last year at the MDS, when you get back to the Berber Palace, you kind of share rooms. And because I didn't know anyone, I was sharing with a perfectly nice but completely random person. My pack was a bit stinky, so I just left it outside the front of the hotel with my trainers, thinking that all stinks. I'll pick it up on the way out. And unfortunately, the cleaners thought I'd left it there either for them or as rubbish, and so it all got swiped. So my wonderful pack that I'd had for so many years had to be replaced. So I ended up getting what is it? It's a 24-litre Raid light.
Nice.
Which is okay. It has quite big pockets at the front. That's just a drop bag, so I don't forget stuff. But yeah, so that's the pack I'm taking, and I've managed pretty much to fit everything I need in. That said, I one thing that did happen to me last year was my mattress. I've always had a blow up mattress. Last year, it finally gave up the ghost, got the puncture. I had to throw it away. So this time, I've just got a cheap and cheerful fold up one, which obviously is outside the pack. So whereas before I did have another pack for the blow up mattress inside my pack, that's outside now. So I'll probably end up with a bit more room inside for that. And I bought that in Llanberis last time I came to see you.
And are you gonna, another legend of the Marathon des Sables is Rory Coleman, and it's all about saving weight and so on. I got one of those whenever I went out in 2017, but I cut it down. I cut it down, Leon. So it was like I slept on something like that.
Brilliant.
I thought I've got to be careful of the weight. And so I cut it down, and I just slept on about that much of thing, and I regretted it because I had nothing on my shoulders to lean into and stuff. So are you keeping it its original size?
Yeah, I did chuckle and think to myself, maybe I'll cut it down. But if you put that over there, you can see that the amount I'd actually be cutting off wouldn't actually be that much anyway. So it didn't seem worth it for the faff and particles that you'd get.
And with the the heat and everything, with this being a different bag and it having the shoulder straps and so on, do you ever put anything like, do you ever tape up your shoulders or put anything round the straps, or are you okay with that? With any,
I've never had any problems like that. I have seen people with terrible chafing and bandages and all manner of stuff, but currently no intention of doing any of that stuff. I do have some Hyperfix tape in my bag just in case, in my first aid module, but I don't intend to preventatively tape anything.
And then the front bit, we've talked about the bit, like shot blocks and go-to quick things and so on. Your front bit of your bag, what will you be stuffing in there? Like a little adventure squirrel to take out and have, sort of thing, quick access. Because you see a lot of people on the first time they do it, they'll having to stop, get their bag, open the back because they haven't prepared their snack size things. So how do you do that?
I'm gonna break out a day's food
Yes. Yes.
And then we can use that as a what's he on about thing. Oh, this year, just before I get there, on the bottle front, I have 2 Raid Light bottles like this. The race rules require that you have 1.5 liters of water supply.
Yeah.
For some unknown reason, Raid Light dropped the capacity of these from 750, which would be 1.5 liters, to 700. So I'm actually, whatever that is, 100 milliliters short. Luckily, Raid Light sell little shortfall bottles too. So I'll have that basically just for kit check. I'm never going to use it. I'm never going to be like, oh, just for kit check.
Yeah. How are you
Bit of a
with
waste.
how are you with your whilst we're looking through the bags, how are you with your fluids and stuff, Leo? Like I was a big sweater, so I was almost empty at each aid station, or like just before you'd see an aid station coming up, I just empty all the bottles all over myself, sort of thing. How are you in
Yeah.
terms of needing water on and stuff? How have you got electrolytes as well as the oxo cubes, or do you just have water? How do you sort of
Yeah.
manage it?
Very good questions. So what I tend to have is I will, of the 2 bottles, one will be plain water, one will be electrolyte based.
Yeah.
In terms of what that looks like this year, I'm a bit of a hoarder, but basically I've got, where are they? Good exercise in making sure I fucking remembered everything. This is, I've got SIS Hydro Go berry flavored electrolytes,
Yeah.
and at every checkpoint, I'll whack one of those in to one bottle, drink it, and basically probably end up with however many that is electrolytes worth. As you mentioned, we're not actually being provided with salt during the race this time. So one of the mandatory kit items is actually stock cubes. Lots of conversations about what stock cubes to take, what not to take. Somewhere, and again, I hope they're around here somewhere. I've ended up taking Bovril ones that probably are my mandatory. So this is my mandatory kit bag. But you're asking about graphs, weren't you? So I'm trying to find. I was gonna get you like a typical day, and then every bag I pulled out isn't a typical day. Right.
Oh, here we go.
This is my day one. This is
Now,
my day one pack.
yeah.
Okay, so this is for the first day of the race. You have to have 2,000 calories per day minimum. And frankly, for a person of my size and at the speed I go, I could quite easily handle a lot more than that. So
You pack more than
really,
that.
yeah. So I did
Yeah.
I did
'Cause I
the
think
maths.
a lot of the people that, as you say, everybody's different sizes and so on. But I think if you are, if you look at the daily amount they want you to take, if you're a bigger lad or a bigger woman, take what will provide you with the energy that you require on top of the recommended amount, isn't it? I think that gets overlooked a lot by people.
It does, yeah. I mean, broadly, I I enjoy food. I like going to nice restaurants, but I'm also very easily capable of just having food as energy. So I'm not overly fussed. But what I tend to do for the races, just because it's easier to do it, is I bookend my calorie intake. So so we have to kind of mark out what each one is. Day one, basically, I've got 2 meals, but they're double portion sizes. So there's 800 calories worth of granola. I think that's my favorite breakfast one, actually, apart from sausage and eggs or something daft like that. Granola with raspberries for breakfast, which is in a milk powder.
So have
And
you
then I've
made
got
that, or have you made that up, or
no,
is that the company?
that's from a company called Expedition Foods,
Brilliant.
which I'll come to that company later because I've got a very funny thing to talk about come the end. But I take them out of the original packaging because they're in nice big foil package that look very nice in shop fronts, and I just use little Ziploc bags. I mean, it's not great for the environment. I could
Write it down.
recycle them and
Yeah.
bring them back, but they'll get a bit manky. Bolognese, so that's basically pasta bolognese, 800 calories. So my two meals, the one I have first thing and the one I have last thing, account for 1600 calories of my daily allowance, if you like. And then in terms of what else I've got, oh, sorry, that pasta is a fire pot one, not Expedition Foods. And bizarrely, it's 940 calories. So I'm actually at 1,740 calories just from those two things. And then what I have during the day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, is a tube of shot blocks. They're 6 little gel energy chews, which is basically sugar and caffeine. That equates to 384 calories. So my day one food, all very exciting, so not much going on. Some of those gets me over my 2,000 calorie limit requirement for the day.
Will you eat anything?
The,
will you eat anything more substantial during the actual race, or is that it? You're just on the shot blocks?
That's it, just on the shot blocks. I find I get very get very dry mouth. So in terms of trying to eat stuff on the move, it's quite problematic. People vary, but for me, the shot blocks do the trick. You just drink them with a bit of water, and you're off to the races. That's your sort of average day, although there aren't actually that many average days in the race, because in terms of race duration, there is a long stage. So the long stage this year is day 3 rather than day 4. And broadly, you get 36 hours to complete it. So you start one morning and you get to the afternoon of the day after to finish it. In terms of what that looks and feels like, obviously you're on your feet for quite a lot longer as a result. So my long stage, so that's day 2, pretty much identical to day 1, but my long stage pack feels heavy. Yeah, day 3. My long day, I've got 3,000 calories in it. It's not to say that I'll eat 3,000 calories on day 3. It's just this is the pack that I will have ready for that particular day. In terms of what's in there, I've got breakfast, eggs and potatoes, so nice carb loading in the morning. I've got a chicken tikka curry and a beef stroganoff. So I've got 3 meals basically, and the idea is I'll probably stop in the evening about 8, 9 o'clock, get some food in me and keep going. And then if I need something extra, if I end up having a sleep, I've got a meal ready again for whilst I'm on the move. I've got the 12 shot blocks again, so I'll have those during the course of the day. But I've also got family favorite caffeine bullets. So David Hellard, who is a very, very good, keen ultra runner, a marathon runner, he invented caffeine bullets. They're effectively sugary sweets with the equivalent amount of caffeine to 1 cup of coffee. I've got those. It's like having a can of Coke basically while you're on the move, and they do keep you slightly more awake and vibrant, which is obviously going to be quite handy for me because I'll be effectively traipsing through the night. My goal is to try and finish before the sun comes up the next day, which is, I don't know, about 22, 23 hours on my feet to try and get through it.
How many kilometers is the long stage this year?
It is 83, I think. I've got a picture. They've usually, you don't get the distances until you get the road book, but this year they've actually they've published the distances now, but you still don't get the road book till you get there. Stage 3 is 85.3 kilometers, but it's also got 1,154 meters of elevation gain.
Couple of jebels.
That, I think it's the big one, whatever it's called. Otfal, isn't it? A Jebel Otfal, the big hill with the rope. You're climbing up the rope. I think that's going to be that day. So go ahead.
I was going to say, to give the listeners and viewers a bit of an idea of the size of the jebels, the one that they're going over is the same height as Tryfan in Wales, and it is, yeah, a nice little shot block or a caffeine bullet would really help you your focus at that point. But great.
Yeah, I mean it's slightly higher than Penafan as well. So just by way of, isn't it? Penafan's about 900 meters. What that means, however, is day after day 4 is actually a rest day.
Yeah.
Because it's a rest day, I don't have anywhere near as many calories that day allocated to myself, as it were. I've basically just got where are we? Day 2. Day 4. The day 4 rest day, I've got fish and a rice cake.
Oh,
And then for lunch, I've got a rice, fish and potato, spag bowl, and as a treat, I've got 2 Bakewell tart naked bars. I don't have shot blocks for that day because I'm not moving. I don't have caffeine bullets because I don't want to stay awake. I want to get some shut eye. So slightly less calories that day, but the overage on day 3 and day 4, you take them together, I'm still well over the 2,000 calories a day requirement.
And whenever you come into the tent of an evening, are you one of these people that will elevate their legs on the pole that puts the tent up, or how do you or will you do your food first, or have you got like a protein shake for afterwards each day?
No, I don't. I mean, I in terms of recovery, I don't have any carb shakes or anything like that. I just think it's a waste of effort, energy, and it clogs up one of my bottles as well. So I prefer not to have it. What I tend to do is I will get back immediately. I will probably take my top off because it's probably a bit wet and manky, and use a couple of safety pins to hang it up on the tent. I will then get my pack out, get my mat out, sleeping bag out, lay that out. I'll then put my food on, and broadly that food on means pouring water into it, sealing it, or if it's in a bottle, putting it outside in the sun just to let it warm up for a bit. I'll then sort out the rest of myself, so the rest of my admin. So I'll take my calf guards off, my socks off, put my shoes away, basically. So put the gaiters back on the shoe and leave them outside the tent. I will then probably hang my socks and my shorts up as well. If I'm particularly hot, I'll take everything off and I'll be naked. But I do have a sleeping bag liner, which is just basically a cotton sleeping bag, and I use that like a sarong. So I'll sit basically in a sarong, looking like Buddha, and then have my food. And then invariably, once I've had my food, that's it. I'll just lie down, put my stuff away, to put everything away that's not flipped up, put everything back into my bag, make sure I've got my sandals by my feet in case I need the loo. And in the outside of the pack, I'll have my loo roll. So if I do need to go to the loo, I can just pull it out and go. But I'll be ready for bed, and then put everything back in the bag, because if there is a sandstorm, you won't see it coming. So it'll come in the middle of the night and you'll be woken up as all your stuff's blowing away. And that's me done. And that's it. I'll eat my food, probably put my spoon in the side of the pack ready for the morning. But that's the admin, and that's pretty much me. I've noticed, particularly last year, there was quite a lot of first timers in my tent, and just see all these packs. The amount of time they'd be like trying to find something, or figuring out this. For me, it's like, right, day 2, right, day 2, that's the last one, put everything else away. Day 2's on the top, so when I wake up in the morning, right, day 2 breakfast in, off you go. That admin only really comes to practice. By the end of the first week of doing it, you're pretty capable of looking after yourself. And I remember saying, sounds a bit trite, but the only way to actually get ready for the MDS is to do the MDS. And once you've done it, it's very easier to do it again, albeit mentally, it becomes a very different game when you go back for a second time. As you know, a lot of our friends DNF the second time. Partly, I think, because they felt they had nothing to prove, and partly because they weren't necessarily mentally prepared to re-engage with it in the same way. So yeah.
Now there'll be people that have just listened to that explanation of what happens, of the tent, the admin, and so on, and they'll be like thinking, Right, okay, hang on a minute. He said that he's put his food outside to heat up and then he eats it. They're probably thinking, so have you got this on a little stove or does it heat up with the heat of the desert? This is what I think.
Just the ambient, yeah, the ambient heat of the desert, really. I mean, the ground is warm. The sun's been out all day. Temperatures are probably still in the 20s. I mean, it's not going to be piping hot, but it's just not cold. Frankly, all I do is wait for it to rehydrate. So it's not like I'm waiting for it to warm up. I'm waiting for it to not be dry and crunchy anymore. Final point, just in terms of saying about extra calories, I do have 2 spare meals. So in addition to everything else, I have 2 spare meals. I also have a pack with some spare shot blocks and some spare caffeine bullets in, mainly just in case I get peckish, but also oftentimes people in the tent will get sick to death of whatever it is they're eating. They may want to try something else. We may want to trade. I always do that outside of my own plan. So I always stick to my plan, but then I'll have stuff that I can either give away or swap if people fancy doing it. It's really to sort of help others rather than anything for me. And obviously, if come day 3 or day 4, you're feeling a bit more peckish, you can have another meal.
And then at the moment, how much does your bag weigh, or you haven't weighed it?
No idea. No idea.
And
Don't know, don't care.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes pre-race you can, especially if you're new, you'll start, oh my God, and you'll over focus on the moment and the enjoyment of the getting ready for the races. Or Bovril. What's
Bovril? Yeah, so
yeah, go on. I was going to say before the Bovril bit, what's the story with Expedition Foods?
Expedition Foods. Right, okay.
His
so
story.
Expedition Foods is a company that prepares expedition foods, freeze-dried foods for whatever it is, multi-day ultras, transatlantic rowers, army hikes or whatever. Whole idea is it's a sustaining meal, well cooked, and then dehydrated to make you very, very light, used all over the world. It is co-owned by a couple of race organizers, and in particular, the people who do Racing the Planet have got a big equity stake in that business. Understandably, they're effectively driving customers to the brand. And also it makes sense that, you know, that they know that they're going to capture some of the value from doing it. Mary Gaddams, who's the owner of Racing the Planet, or co-owner with her husband of Racing the Planet, lives in Hong Kong, and she manages all of the races they do, and obviously has a big chunk of input into how Expedition Foods is run and managed. Mary contacted me out of the blue last week and said, we miss you. Would love to have you back at a race. I can see from your socials you're doing the MDS. We've had a problem trying to send race food to a Mexican athlete. And he's ended up, it's just not got there, and it's not going to get to him in time. So we're trying to figure out how to get him food. Would you mind taking some food for him? And I said, yeah, no problem at all. I said, to be honest with you, I've got tons of food. Let me pull some stuff out. And she said, no, we're going to redo the pack. So wherever his pack is, it's lost in the post. We're going to redo the pack and send it all to you. Will you have enough room? And I said, yeah, that's not a problem. So I actually have Expedition Foods. Funnily enough, naked bars, the same, recovery shakes, gel things, got some custard and stuff. But yeah, got basically the guy's whole week's food to take. So my good deed for the week is I am muling. I'm really looking forward to checking in.
You say I'm muling.
Yes.
Whenever really you were explaining all, you know, in all your, what's the word, our excitement of the race ahead, we got contacted by a drug lord who had kidnapped the owners of Expedition Food, and they wanted the delivery of cocaine to the Mexican drug lord before close of play on Saturday. Netflix, if you're watching,
here we go.
Here we go.
So yeah, check-in at Gatwick. Are you carrying anything for anyone else? Yeah, this lady in Hong Kong got in touch and said, "Can you take a load of powder for this Mexican guy to Africa?" Shouldn't trigger
No
any
problem.
keywords or problems. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm taking that. So basically, what I've got to do, I've really thought hard about it. I'm actually going to check all of my food into my luggage, and I'm actually going to put all of his food in my hand luggage, because can you imagine how awful it would be after all of this if I checked his food and my bag went missing and he ended up with no food? So I'd much rather make sure he gets his food and just chance my bag not making it. It does have an air tag, although I did say it's like, great, if my bag gets lost, I'll know where it is rather than not knowing where it is. But yeah, so I'll be carrying in my hand luggage all of this guy's food, and checking all of my stuff once I've repacked and unpacked and done everything else. I tend to use dry bags, so
Great
all of
idea.
my stuff. So this, like I said, the orange one is the main pack bag. That's got all the food in, sleeping bags. Blue one is mandatory kit. So this is all the stuff that they ask you to take, which is obviously in here. This isn't going. Is this going to go out before I go, or will this go out after?
This will go out today.
Okay. I've got something in here that I was going to tell you about, but I'm not going to tell you about because it's a surprise.
Okay.
And I don't want anyone hearing about it. But yeah, so in terms of mandatory kit, so if you want to drop, and then little green bag is like admin, wallet, bank card, €200, stuff that you need to know where it is. In terms of mandatory kit,
and I was going to say, Leon, with those bags, what do you
yeah.
use as like a pillow rest of an evening?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Because they're watertight, but they're also airtight. So I do indeed, what I tend to do is put a t-shirt or something into one of these and have it, or wrap a t-shirt around it and just have it as an air pillow so that I can use something to rest my head on.
Great idea.
In terms of mandatory kit, so basically coming back to the weight thing, it's not that I don't care about weight. So I do have like the lightest version of everything I can find. But my mantra is it on the mandatory kit list or is it edible? And if it's not either of those things, do you really need to take it? And basically the only thing that is in that category is the mattress.
Right.
Everything else, basically, first aid kit's not actually on there, but it is essential to have a first aid kit. Everything else is either something I'm going to eat during the week or it's something I'm going to have to show. And what the MDS does is they send you a very handy checklist with all the things on. I've kind of covered quite a few of them. Backpack, 1.5 liters water supply, which we obviously covered. Sleeping bag. So I actually got a new sleeping bag this year because I gave my eldest son the sleeping bag that I've used for the last decade to do his Duke of Edinburgh award with, because it's super light and I thought it would be easier for him. And of course, he's managed to break it. So I bought a new one. I think it's the same. I'm not sure whether that's the brand, Next to Nothing.
That packs down well, doesn't it?
It does. Really, really nice compared to, funnily enough, but I was going to do a hike in Scotland and I needed a 4-season bag. They gave me that. So,
wow.
Obviously, you don't need a 4-season. You obviously don't need a 4-season bag in the desert.
Yeah.
But this one does go down to 0 degrees, which when you add it to with a liner, it pretty much covers everything. I used it on the Everest trail race. I do have a liner somewhere.
If people are wondering what
I'll
a
find.
liner is, Leon, can you explain simply what a liner is?
It's a bag. It's basically, here it is. So here's why. Actually, mine's, I forgot, it's not cotton, it's silk. Basically, a sleeping bag liner is just like a sleeping bag shaped bag.
Yeah.
And it, this is silk, packs down super, super light, super small into that bag. And like I said, if I want to get totally naked to cover my modesty and not offend everyone, I just wrap it round for like a Beckham-esque sarong.
Yes,
So there
mate.
you go.
I like it. That's great. And then
Yeah.
your
Should we go through the rest of the mandatory kit?
yes, that's where we're at. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the sleeping bag. You need a headlamp. And
What
you need
headlamp
spare
you got,
batteries.
Leon?
I have got a Petzl from back in the day. No idea how many lumens or whatever it is. Just a
Red
one
light.
with
And a top
yeah.
tip for people with lights, write this down. Whenever you've got the red light on at night, it helps whenever you're reading or looking at something right in front of you. It breaks down the contours so they're easier to look at rather than a bright light that might disperse the sort of like ground that you're looking at and not give you a proper look. So red light is good.
That's quite technical. I just put the red light on so I'm not blinding people when I talk to them. But yeah. Next on the list, 10 safety pins. I've actually got a whole box of safety pins in my bag. I got like a knitting kit of safety pins. 10 safety pins. You need 4 for your bib number on the front, 4 for a bib number that goes on your pack, and a couple of spares. I actually take some really big, like nappy safety pins and use those. And the reason for that is they're really good for hanging stuff up, so they can withstand a wet t-shirt or a pair of shorts when you clip. You hang onto the tent. The little ones for the bibs, it wouldn't be strong enough to get through the tent material and all that sort of stuff. Compass. The course is marked, so there isn't actually any self nav, but they do kind of suggest that with the kind of directions of walk for 1,000 miles in a southeasterly direction, which is pretty much as complicated as it gets. They do recommend that you carry, well, it's essential actually that you carry a compass. And I'm going to try and make sure my compass is in my essential kit bag. If it's not, something else I need to find. So this is a very good exercise to you.
And just also looking for that, it's well worth, like a lot of people say, okay, mandatory kit, I need to say compass. If you don't know how it works, go on a course. I think it's really good that especially when it's mandatory kit with compasses and things like that, go on a basic nav course, because it just, especially if it's the first time you're ever doing something like this, it puts you at ease as well, and it just adds to the sort of excitement. What's that?
Oh, this is my kit bag. This is the my check luggage bag. I am furtively looking for something.
Is it compass?
Safety pins. Safety pins. The Mexican guy, he doesn't know it, but obviously I have decanted all of my food to save weight and space. I don't know if he's thought of that, planning to do it, or what have you. If he is, I've actually bought some spare Ziploc bags for him that he can use to reduce his pack weight. So
that's very kind, Leon. Have you spoke to him yet?
We've had a brief WhatsApp chat when he asked me whether I like tequila because he wanted to bring me a gift. And I said, please don't bring a bottle of tequila for me to the desert. That will lead to all manner of problems. Yeah. Can't actually find the compass.
You look for your compass. Is your compass on your jacket or in the car or something like that?
I've got like 3 of the bloody things. This is my bag of spare stuff. So this is like nothing to do with the race. This is just like, extra first aid kit, spare pair of gaiters, tape, jumper, mattress. Just seeing if the compass is in here. So I got 2 out and I was hemming and hawing about which ones to take. Yeah, there we go. Compass is in there. Look.
Brilliant. I love a compass. Love a compass and I love a map. And then, for people thinking, yeah, but
there you go.
So how do you nav around the Marathon des Sables then? How's
compass? Got 2 compasses now. Like buses, wait ages for one, then 2 come along at once.
how would you nav? You know, like somebody like, do they are things marked, or how do people find their way around at the marathon of the stables? Dell.
Basically, the course director or the technical director, because they're different people. They mark the course with bright pink spray paint and little pink flags. There's basic channels, and as long as you stay near the pink things, you can invariably see where the next pink arrow marker is. At night, they do glow sticks, so they'll for the piece that is being used during the night, somebody will traipse along and break the glow sticks and drop them on the floor, and they'll be every 20 meters or so. So it's a very, very clearly marked thing. The other thing is obviously given where I typically sit in the pack, which is at the back, it's loads of people in front of you, and invariably they're all going in the right direction. So
And
chances of actually getting lost.
That's with like backpackers, middle packers. Unless you're right at the front, there is always someone to, as you say, get on your horizon and start to look to pick off and stuff. So yeah, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else for the mandatory kit? Torches.
Yeah, so I've got my list here.
Bovril.
Don't stop. Don't stop.
Go for the Bovril.
I've got the list here. Hang on. Sorry. Must put that there. Right. Next on the mandatory kit list is a lighter. Not really sure what that's for at this point.
Was that on it? That new for this year?
Don't know.
To light your if you are taking out your cubes of fuel to light.
So, but you'd have a mandatory thing for a non-mandatory thing. Don't know. Don't care. I've got one. That's the main thing. A knife with a metal blade. So I've got a little tiny Swiss Army knife. This is quite handy. Not only does it have a knife with a metal blade, which means I've conformed to the mandatory kit thing, it actually has a tiny, tiny pair of scissors, which is quite handy for nails. Yeah, just trimming my nails in case they get a bit long or a bit manky. Yeah. Is it on there next? Yeah, whistle. Got the world's smallest whistle, but it's very loud. Again, that's for calling for help. George, or calling George. Hello, mate. Go on, get down. Interestingly, last year, I think I mentioned in the last session, there was a guy who got stung by something and he kind of flaked out. In addition to pressing the guy's buttons, we all got the whistles out and started blowing, and the whistle kind of chain meant people were whistling, and it got the attention of I think it got the attention of the stewards before the security buzzer got the attention of the stewards, which isn't great. But again, that's the point of the whistle, is to advise of danger or call for help. Yeah. So that was quite good and well used. Next on the list is skin antiseptic. I've got some alcohol. Obviously, we're in a post-COVID world, so these are all very familiar. This one's actually got a strappy thing on, so I'm going to like that and do that. So that's that. A signal mirror. Signal mirror for, if you're stuck and you need to got a very, very small,
or burning ants. You can see. Can we have a conversation about, have you ever burnt an ant, Leon?
No, you. Have you ever pulled legs off a spider? No. So you go.
Say if there's any ants coming to attack you at night, you can just burn them with the moon.
Stock cubes, as we've discussed, for salt.
Can we just
sun cream?
Can we talk about the salt? Is there people in races that just chew on these? What's going on with the Bovril with trail running? I've been lucky enough to speak with runners all over the world, and I've never think, who I do enjoy a bit of Bovril in my mouth. Are they doing it as a sort of like as a drink? What's the method behind it?
Well, the requirement is to put salt into people's bodies.
Yeah.
And I think what the race organizers were trying to do was suggest something that was accessible to people to avoid having to purchase a particular special piece of kit. I actually had a look on Amazon yesterday, and 15 specialist salt tablets can set you back 15-20 quid. Which you compare to, I think they're £3.99 for a pack of Bovril. I actually quite like Bovril. I've started putting it in my bolognese. It really does make a difference. So I don't mind. I've brought a cup, however. I've got a little cup somewhere. And I'm just going to drink it. Drink it. Just put some in, drink it.
Nice. Does your flavour,
yeah.
does your mouth taste flavour go? So did you get like mouth fatigue?
Well, you do, because you're just eating paste basically. So anything different, somebody hands you a peanut on day 4, it's like amazing, or you choke because you can't chew stuff because your throat's all clogged up with salt. But yeah, next on the list is €200, which I don't have. I've got to figure that out before I go. Or obviously, worst case scenario is the cash machine at the airport, passport, and then your MDS medical certificate and your resting ECG. So
what's that
MDS
about? You know, the ECG.
Yeah,
They advise that if you're over 40 to have it whenever you're doing exertion. I'd recommend. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Go on, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I'd recommend. A lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I went for my ECG and stuff," but also have a little look at your own physical health before you're going to go out as well. Maybe if you have an MOT with a doctor, or if there's any niggles or whatever, address them as well. Sort of thing. Yeah, go on. What are you saying about the ECG?
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reality is you need to be in sort of some kind of shape to do this kind of thing. If you're not, and you're doing it as a new thing, frankly, it could apply to park runs as much as it does 250-kilometer races. It's always worth just going to see your GP and saying, I'm going to embark on this new lifestyle change. They're going to be for it for the most part. Anything to bear in mind or look at, they may check your blood pressure. So the ECG, the mandatory requirement is you just have a heart trace thing. And the idea is that you don't just have it. It's not like you just go to Boots and print one out. It is then inspected by your doctor, who fills in your medical certificate.
Yeah.
And it says, I, this doctor, have gone through an examination of this person and taken their weight, their blood pressure, their pulse, and I've read their ECG. And then very importantly, it says, does not indicate any medical objection to a running race in the desert of about 250 kilometers with 6 stages, warm and dry climate. So your doctor has to look at that and say your heart rate, beat, shape looks normal or regular, and you can do it. It's very important, because if you do have anything atypical, knowing about it before you get there kind of makes sense. And there are a few people who have actually gone to these things, quite healthy, active marathon types, and found they've got a sort of congenital heart defect or something they didn't know about. So it's worth doing. In fact, you have to do it. And then most importantly, your doctor has to sign and stamp the certificate. So, and they do take these in. So they are the mandatory items. So I've been through everything, just missing money and a passport, which is fine. In terms of, oh no, how did I miss that? Survival blankets on there. Again, smallest survival blanket in the world. Some people go even further and cut it in half and just have I've got a survival blanket. One of the reasons I don't like buggering around hacking into kit is, in many respects, emergency equipment is something that you hope you never have to use. So I hope to never have to use this in all manner of circumstances. So it could be winter. I had this doing Snowdon, as we used to call it. I had this in my pack for Snowdon just in case anything happened. I actually forgot it one time, so I actually borrowed 2 bin bags from the pub I was staying in. But the second time I went up, I actually had it. And obviously, if you get stuck up Snowdon, or more importantly for me, if I find somebody else with a broken leg stuck up Snowdon, it will be a nightmare if you go, oh, this is my Sahara version, it only covers your knees. So I just keep everything as intact as I possibly can. because I'd like to use it, or rather, I like to not use it in all manner of circumstances. I try and explain that to my kids that all of this stuff, a lot of it, you hope to never have to use, but having it
It's
does
that.
actually provide a bit of peace of mind. Yeah.
Uh,
In terms of other stuff, I think I mentioned I got the first aid kit. My first aid kit has basically tape, hyperfix tape, some alcohol cleaning swabs, a needle just in case I need to puncture a blister, some antihistamines, and I haven't put them in yet. I got some diaurolite this year because I have a feeling if it's not me, the no salt tablets thing is going to bug up with somebody's constitution.
I
And
can,
in keeping with,
can we just stop for one moment?
yeah,
Diaurolite as a source of electrolyte is a winner. I took
yes,
diaurolite with me as an electrolyte sort of because if you think about it, whenever you had the shit, so you've been ill, diaurolite replaces everything you've lost, and it's a nice taste as well. So
yep.
I can't stress diaurolite enough. I think it's such a great sort of liquid food and so on. So yeah, that's great.
So I'm putting them in, and then the other one was Imodium
Now,
because I have a feeling
will you take them out of the boxes so they're just in their strips?
I just
Yeah,
have
yeah.
just have. So I've taken them out. Just everything goes in this little pack, which I've managed to break. But yeah, it all goes in there, and that's my little first aid bag. Again, for the most part, I hope to never have to
Yeah.
dig into it, which is why it's normally in the bottom of the bag rather than anywhere accessible. Because the reality is, if you break your arm or whatever, there's no need to worry about transition times.
Yeah.
You can take your time with a broken leg. So get your pack ready down and onto fixing stuff. So yeah, so all that box for the Imodium stuff, there's just that little one strip in there. So that'll fit in there quite nicely. Might have to tape that. Tape the tape. Yeah, so that's the first aid bag. In terms of other things, I'd almost forgotten spoon, plastic spoon for actually eating stuff. I've actually lost my lucky spoon, the spoon I wanted to use, which was a fold out one. I've got a titanium one somewhere. I know number one took one of them for this DOV. Just found that that'll do. And then a gift for my tent mates. Got some earplugs because unfortunately I snore
Oh,
like the proverbial. So as a way of an icebreaker, when I arrive, I'm going to give them all a set of earplugs, and in
the
a very
pack,
passive aggressive way.
the pack amount of earplugs there, Leon. That's enough for another couple of tents.
Exactly, for the
The
blast
back and the
radius,
front.
just in case anybody else. So other things that I thought were quite interesting, I always have one of. Have you ever seen these?
Would you piss on it or would you eat it?
It's a weddy wipe. Yes, you put water on it and it expands. It's actually a little flannel.
Way.
So a little flannel. I always just take one of those for the rest day.
Yeah,
It's like the one day when you've got a little bit more time,
treat.
may just walk out into the desert with a bit of water, just have a bit of a cleanse of all the bits that are there. And then speaking of cleansing, obviously the one essential thing, which isn't on anyone's list, but really should be on a list somewhere. I can find the fucking thing. It's gone. Is a loo roll. So I do have a loo roll. And the thing I also take are some mini packs of wet wipes, just in case you have a particularly thunderous outcome, or just if you just want a bit of a clean. I'll probably take 2 or 3 of these little packs and
They're
just have
always
them.
nice as well, just to clean your feet.
Yes,
Or if
yeah.
it's a
If you
hot
got
day,
any,
just to put on your
if
neck.
you got any grit or anything, yeah. If you got sand somewhere and you want to clean something, it's a perfectly good way of cleaning yourself up.
Oh,
Yeah.
sunglasses and a hat.
Yeah. Youth. Um, Surprisingly, not an essential item. However, I am obviously taking both. Color was the clothes bag, Hugh. Black, wasn't it? Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
In my clothes bags, black, I have hats. I've actually got
Nice. Love a hat.
that's the going to the pub hat. I've got this one for running. It's just a very lightweight
Yeah.
Kalenji. Can't remember if that's a decathlon brand or something else. Anyway,
Yeah.
very thin, nice little black cap. And most of the time, if I don't have that on, I will just have a bandana, either as a headband or as a buff. I used to have quite long hair, so it always used to be very important to keep the hair out my face. I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem this time.
Have you got anything for the back of your hat to protect your neck?
Another buff.
Another buff. And ridiculous
Yeah.
sunglasses? Because there's some
Ridiculous
really
sunglasses.
cool, ridiculous ones out at the moment.
Yeah, these are very old. There's the compass in my sunglass case.
Yes,
somewhere.
mate.
Anyway, I've got a pair of Oakleys.
Oh yeah.
Jawbreakers, they're called. I like the Jawbreaker because it's actually wraps around quite a lot. And it means that with a buff, if there's a particularly bad sandstorm, you can have a buff there and a buff there, and you're pretty much protected from the elements. I also like these ones because they have interchangeable lenses. I was supposed to get a new lens, so I have different lenses for different conditions. So blue one is actually sort of for cold or lower light, so it's quite good for contrast running through forests. So I use that one for Leadville because you're in the trees quite a lot. It's quite good for that. Got a standard lens, which is the one that they came with, which is obviously just a common or garden sunglass lens. And these are my desert lenses that are actually red. But I thought you'd be interested at seeing. So this is off the back of 3 MDSs. Let's put these back on because I make sure I get the feedback right. 3 MDSs and all of the other ones. And you can see how much scarring there is.
Wow.
From being sandblasted.
Yeah.
So in particular, last year we had to endure 2 massive sandstorms, and the only way I'm going to see through these. Yeah, I probably won't take those because just wrecked to buggery. They're wrecked to buggery. The massive sandstorm just completely obliterated the covering on them. So I'm probably going to end up wearing those ones. So it'd be interesting, and they're the backup just in case. So they're the sunglasses. I probably won't take that case. I'll probably just have them like this with a what do you call it, cleaner. Another thing to remember to put in the cleaner, bag. Okay, I've actually written a note of the things I've been missing along the way. Sunglass bag.
And
find my calf guards.
Do you wear your kit to travel?
It's a bit of a tradition, really, that you're advised to make sure you wear all of your kit or carry it, because obviously, if it goes missing, you'll be stuck. So at least if you wear it, you'll be fine. Which is great because people do turn up with their desert gaiters on, like their life depended on it. I tend not to bother. I'll probably wear my trainers on the plane, but the reality is, I don't know. I wore a blazer and a shirt and tie the first year because obviously the Camel Club issued ties, so I turned up with a Peaky Blinders cap, blazer, AC/DC shorts on. Got badged as a wanker on the way in, which is quite good, quite an achievement. But so no, I'll just probably wear a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, just look like a regular tourist. Reality is, if I can't put everything in the thing, so if I'm fucked, I may as well be completely fucked rather than partially fucked. And I'm a true believer in fate, so I would have carried my food in the bag just because it's easy. But obviously, as we discussed, I'll be taking Jorge's food instead, because if somebody's going to miss out on food, I'd rather it was me than him.
And then
there you go.
Will you come back on the show afterwards with your beard your sunglasses, everything, and tell us how it all went, because I'm really excited to dot watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Bib number's 215. They're not doing emails this year, so you can't write emails to people. But bib number's 215. If you want to see me on the tracker, I'll be very near the camels at the back. But yeah, I'd love to come back on, tell you all about it. Tell you how I got on. My friend Grant is coming. I've somehow managed to inspire him to take it up and give it a go. So it's his first go.
And then
It's got a bit of a cold this week, but I'm sure it'll be fine by the time we get there.
I can't remember if I've already asked if we've already talked about this, because it's a bit busy with the Shield. Look at this, by the way. Hang on, we'll do a bit of a segue. The lanyards have arrived for the team.
Oh, great.
Are you about on the 6th of September for the Wild Welsh Trails Festival? Oh no, you're not, because you're doing the bloody Dragon's Back.
Yes, I think I'm doing the Dragon's Back.
Anyway,
I may have DNF by then. If I DNF by that, but basically, I think what I'm going to do is get an Airbnb for the week after and just
chill
remote work. So, but yeah, if I DNF, I'll come along. But yeah, unfortunately, I've got quite a nice race calendar this year. So we'll yeah, hopefully I'll be all right and in shape. Hopefully I'll have paid for it all. Been handing me for more money. It's ever so expensive, that one. But yeah, unfortunately I won't be there because I'm doing the Dragon's Back.
But the one in 2025 will make sure that it is. Leo, I can't thank you enough. We're going to have a chat after we finish this, and I've had my I'm having a toasty, Leon. I'm having a toasty.
Excellent.
With brown sauce. Just
Excellent.
because I think there was food that you really miss when you're in the middle of the Marathon des Sables, and I remember thinking, I need a toasty with brown sauce. So that's what I'm going to have today.
Excellent. Mine was tomatoes. I remember talking to Ian Corliss on my first MDS at the checkpoint, whatever it is, 5, where they put the deck chairs out. Yeah. And he was there with his partner, Andy, and they said, "What food are you looking forward to?" And I said, "Tomatoes. Don't care how. Tomato juice, chopped tomatoes, fried tomatoes. I'll take them all." And when I got back to the Berber Palace, and they had this wonderful lamb, I think it was, carved off some beautiful meat, and I just had a plate of meat and a plate of tomatoes. That was my my gift to myself when I got back.
And it is such a buzz in the hotel afterwards, isn't it? It's
they've changed the format again. So whereas previously obviously all the Brits are at the Berber Palace, and the Brits have their own ceremony.
Yeah.
For some reason, they've decided they want like a whole race ceremony.
Good.
And obviously they're going to do it at the French hotel, because obviously it's French centric. I don't think I'm going to bother going, because the reality is, you know who won.
Yeah.
I've got all the Patrick's gilets I can handle. And it's quite nice at the Berber Palace, and it feels like it'd be a bit quiet and kind of nice to just relax there. Not very seemly and teamly, but just the last thing you want to do is go walking for 20 minutes day after you've been walking for a week. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
I think the year we did it in 2017, there was another country within the hotel that was having their celebrations as well, and they had free drinks put on, and we'd been smashing the booze all afternoon, and I hadn't drank since the previous year. And we got up, and then we were having their free drinks with them, but unable to speak the language. And my last memory was being aware in my drunk mind that my friend Jeremy Collins, who was sharing the room with me, wouldn't be able to find our room because he was so drunk. So I got 2 big bags of Doritos, and I crushed them all up, and I carefully, for about the 500 meters from the reception to, because they got the little apartments, haven't they, all dotted around, like Hansel and Gretel, was putting them carefully on the floor until I fell asleep in a hatch next to the door.
How many wild animals were attracted to the hotel that evening to eat the Doritos?
So excited for you, Leon. Best of luck, and just
thank you.
You're doing it the right way. You know what I mean? Phone in your bag, back in the hotel. and just wow, it's brilliant. I'm so excited to talk to you about it afterwards. Get up, and thanks very much.
Enjoy your toasty, mate.